In this video, we dive deep into the pressing question: are we headed for a climate lockdown? As governments around the world grapple with the ongoing climate emergency, we'll explore the implications of recent climate emergency declarations and the regulatory measures that may soon follow. With rising public support for decisive action, we'll analyze how these developments could mirror the lockdowns experienced during the COVID-19 pandemic and their potential impact on our daily lives. Join us as we discuss the economic implications and the challenges of achieving global cooperation in the face of an escalating climate crisis. 1. Climate Emergency Declaration. In recent years, there has been a notable surge in climate emergency declarations from governments around the world. These declarations serve as a formal recognition of the urgent need to address the climate crisis. By declaring an emergency, governments are acknowledging that climate change is not just a future threat but a present danger. This action paves the way for implementing potential restrictive measures to combat climate change, similar to those seen during health emergencies. The goal is to mobilize resources and prioritize climate action in government agendas. Such declarations often signal that more stringent measures could be on the horizon, as leaders look to fulfill their commitments to reduce carbon emissions and protect the environment. 2. Increased regulatory measures. As part of the response to the climate emergency, many governments are considering or have already implemented stricter regulations on emissions, resource usage, and energy consumption. These regulations are designed to mitigate the impact of climate change by reducing the carbon footprint of industries and individuals. For example, there could be limits on the amount of carbon emissions a company can produce or restrictions on the types of energy sources that can be used. Such measures are intended to drive innovation and encourage the adoption of cleaner technologies. However, they also raise questions about the balance between environmental protection and economic growth. While regulations can be effective in driving change, they may also face opposition from industries and individuals who are concerned about the economic implications. 3. Public support for action. Polls consistently show that a significant portion of the population supports taking drastic measures to address climate change, including the possibility of lockdowns. This public support is often driven by increased awareness of the effects of climate change, such as extreme weather events and rising sea levels. Many people recognize the need for urgent action and are willing to endure temporary inconveniences if it means securing a more sustainable future. Public support can be a powerful tool for governments, providing them with the mandate to implement bold policies. However, it's important for policymakers to ensure that measures are equitable and do not disproportionately affect vulnerable communities. 4. Economic implications. The concept of climate lockdowns raises significant concerns about potential economic consequences. Just as with the COVID-19 lockdowns, restricting activities to combat climate change could lead to job losses, particularly in industries that are heavily reliant on fossil fuels. Small businesses, which often operate on thin margins, may struggle to survive in a more regulated environment. There's also the risk of increased costs for consumers, as businesses pass on the expenses of compliance to their customers. While some argue that the transition to a green economy could create new jobs and opportunities, the immediate impact of restrictive measures could be challenging for many. Policymakers will need to carefully consider the economic trade-offs and provide support to those affected. 5. Comparison to COVID-19 lockdowns. The idea of climate lockdowns is often compared to the lockdowns imposed during the COVID-19 pandemic. Both scenarios involve significant restrictions on personal freedoms and raise concerns about government overreach. During the pandemic, lockdowns were necessary to control the spread of the virus, but they also sparked debates about the balance between public safety and individual rights. Similarly, climate lockdowns would require a delicate balance between the need to protect the environment and respecting personal freedoms. Critics argue that such measures could set a precedent for government control, while supporters believe that the urgency of the climate crisis justifies temporary sacrifices. 6. Potential impact on daily life. If implemented, climate lockdowns could have a profound impact on daily life. Travel restrictions might be enforced to reduce emissions from transportation, and energy consumption could be limited to encourage efficiency. These changes would require citizens to adapt to new routines, potentially affecting how they work, travel, and consume energy. For instance, there might be increased emphasis on public transportation or incentives for using renewable energy sources at home. While these measures could lead to a more sustainable lifestyle in the long run, they would also require significant adjustments from individuals and communities. The challenge will be to implement changes in a way that is both effective and equitable. 7. Global cooperation challenges. Tackling climate change effectively requires global cooperation, but achieving this can be challenging due to geopolitical tensions. Countries have different priorities and resources, and reaching a consensus on climate action can be difficult. For instance, developing nations may argue that they need more time to transition to green technologies, while developed nations push for immediate action. These differences can hinder collaborative efforts and slow progress on global initiatives. However, without cooperation, individual efforts may fall short of making a significant impact. It's crucial for international bodies to facilitate dialogue and ensure that all countries are on the same page in the fight against climate change.